This video is sponsored by Aquashine Exteriors, professional jet washing and cleaning services across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, including Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. Are you feeling it's time to get that driveway nice and shiny for when you come home, or are you wanting to get that guttering tidied up and spotless again? They deliver this, plus much, much more. Please head into the description below where you'll find their details for their website, including the socials, Facebook and Instagram. You also need to find their before and after portfolio. You can also call them on 07503 998 088 for a free quotation. Don't wait till next week. Don't think you'll do it another day. Pick up the phone, give them a call, check them out. Good evening and welcome to Cherries Red Army. We are back with live content exactly a week after the sad passing of the Queen, and Saturday is going to be an emotional day for lots of reasons, but it will give us a moment to reflect and remember. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Also hit the like button because it really does help us in our journey, and we have gone past 1,200 subscribers now on YouTube, and the interactive chat is open this evening for you to get involved regardless of what fan of what team you are. Let's have a chat. Let's talk this match preview of Newcastle versus Bournemouth. And it's a big game for Gary O'Neill, isn't it? Because he's going to come up against his biggest challenge. It's against someone who's managing a team in the north. Can't remember what he's... It's a special one. It's Eddie Howe. Let's get on with the match preview.
Cheeky one, square, and
Lots coming up this evening on this show, and my first guest, he's part of the team on Cherries Red Army. It's Jon Spark. We're back with another live preview. How you doing, Jon?
Yeah, good to be back. Thank you, Kirk. After, a week after our last video, unfortunately, was cancelled, but 2 weeks after the last time we really had something to talk about with football. Nice to see that you've taken my inspiration from me on board with your intros to this week after my cover a couple of weeks ago.
I had to up my game, 100%. Matt, good to see you. We're going to be talking about Bournemouth's last fixture, which was a couple of weeks ago, but lots to talk about today and on Saturday for Newcastle.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Looking forward to it. Always a pleasure to be here, Kirk. And looking forward to the weekend at the moment.
Always great to have an opposition guest, and our guest on this one, fantastic, from the True Faith podcast, is Emil. Franchi, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Nice to be here. Nice to see you guys back in the league this year.
Interested to hear what you've got to say in the next 30 minutes, but tell us a little bit about yourself, supporting your club and the podcast that you contribute on.
Yeah, so True Faith is a team that consists of writers, podcasters, YouTube stuff. Started as a fanzine in the late 90s, I think. If I don't get that right, I might get fired. But yeah, it's basically where it all began. And it's the only remaining Newcastle fanzine in existence, in paper copy anyway. And yeah, great little team that we've got, organised by Alex and co, and yeah, it's a good time to be a Newcastle United fan. As you're probably aware, it's a massive difference to how things were feeling this time last year when we were on the edge of the new dawn, I guess, because it was the 7th of October 2021 when that takeover happened. We've got your special one, as you've mentioned, and yeah. It's just a matter of time, I think, until Newcastle are very much up there with the rest of them, given how we've started this season and the spirit that Eddie Howe's brought.
For what we know, Emil, you're in safe hands. I can reassure you of that. So let us know if you're joining us in the chat. Do put your name on there and we'll show any comments throughout the show. We've already got, who have we got? Dodgy Legs, Eddie Howe Derby. Most definitely is. Many derbies out there in this game. Carol Toller's already in Newcastle. She's getting ahead of preparation. So interesting stuff. As we always do, we go back to the original games, the last fixtures for both teams. Let's talk on Newcastle then, Emil. It was a 0-0 versus Crystal Palace. Another draw on the board. Probably deserved more. Talk us about it. It was a week or so ago now. But yeah, probably Eddie wanted more than that.
Yeah, I think frustration is the key word on this one. Crystal Palace obviously left the happier team, and yeah, Newcastle in a week where we were feeling sore. Let's be honest. After the Liverpool loss, I was at that game. It was one of those where you just thought, "Are we going to do this?" And then all of a sudden, that last minute goal went in, and we had goals chalked off for Alexander Isak, and then to have the VAR shambles over the Joe Willock incident where the ball was in the net with Mitchell nudging him in the back. Is that the one there? There it is. Yeah, there's that horrific foul on our player. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. The players are frustrated. We are... maybe we were going to take it out on West Ham last week, but that didn't happen. So I'm sorry that you're next in the firing line, and it's going to be a fiery St. James's Park. I think everyone is raring to go if they weren't already last Sunday, even though it was going to be at the London Stadium. The Palace game really is one of those where we really should have won it. And there's so many occasions. I mean, so far Newcastle are only beaten by Liverpool. They had that magnificent draw against Manchester City. They had a good start to the season against Notts Forest. Yeah, it's a dangerous time to come to St. James's Park. But then again, it's also a dangerous time for us to have a team that come and cause, banana skin moment for us.
Like Emil said there, Matt, it's the one last 98-minute winner, I think, by Carvalho. And, there are 4 draws on the board now, Matt, and they look strong. I'm not surprised. This is Eddie Howe and a football team that he's now starting to establish. And Crystal Palace have picked up points as well in their defence. Yeah,
they do. I mean, they were obviously... I think you were very unfortunate, Emil, against Crystal Palace. The one time I've watched Newcastle fully was against Manchester City, and I was really impressed with what I saw. I thought that was a ding-dong game, hell of a game. And I thought you were probably unfortunate to come out drawing it in the end. You probably should have won the game. But you went. It was typical Eddie Howe football, because he doesn't shut up shop and put 10 men behind the ball against Man City and work out how he's going to stop them. It's all about going toe-to-toe with City, and we're as good as them. We can attack. We're at home. We get the crowd behind us. It's tit for tat, and that's exactly what he did. He opened the game up, and he showed what you're all about with the quality that you've got. You're unfortunate. So yeah, I think you're right. Somebody's going to get a good hiding at some stage. I'm just hoping it's not going to be us. I mean, it's one of those games, Emil, and you'd have probably had this before. We've had it, obviously, where you're playing an opposition where you think, yeah, this weekend they're going to get a spanking. And we've had it. I mean, Villa said it to us that be warned. Villa are up for this. Be ready. Forest, everyone's going to say it to us every week that when we come up against them, you're going to get a right spanking, because we're not fancied really to do anything. So in a way, if I was you, I'd be saying the same things. But as a Bournemouth fan, and probably as a Bournemouth player, it's the sort of thing you pin up in the dressing room, isn't it, before the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're aware of that, so don't worry.
John,
we've been there. Where you think it's a done deal. They're going to get us, whoever we've played in the past, they're going to get a right hiding this weekend, and then you come away losing the game 1-0. That's football, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Newcastle fans never get carried away. What are you about?
No, I know that. I know a few Geordies, all right.
John, in a weekend that nearly done us with VAR and a dodgy penalty, Crystal Palace obviously were probably lucky to take a point away from that. VAR is playing its part, and it's being questioned again many weeks into the Premier League.
Yeah, that week as well was particularly egregious, I think, for the one for Newcastle against Crystal Palace. Obviously, Willett clearly getting fouled, and then they're getting chalked off, and then the West Ham goal as well against Chelsea, which I think was also another awful decision by by someone, a few hundred miles away from the. Well, I suppose with London, it probably would have been a bit closer, but it's just another poor decision. VAR is something that a lot of fans, when we were down in the Championship, looked at as happening in the Premier League and went, you know what? Staying in the Championship might not be too bad. That is how much disdain there is for VAR amongst football fans, particularly, I would say, towards from the Championship as well, because they're the closest to it without actually getting it. I personally see it as a fantastic tool, just being used very, 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 very poorly. And like most technology, it will improve things, but unfortunately, it's the humans that will make the mistakes. VAR will only get you so far. And hopefully, with the offside technology that's going to be implemented in the World Cup, hopefully that will come in full time into the Prem next season, if that's successful. And then VAR should, it just shouldn't be involved as much. It needs to be limited a little bit more, I think, in some aspects. But we just feel as though every goal needs to be checked, and that's just not the case. Really, you're taking a lot of the spirit and fight out of the game, and hopefully it won't impact us too much more. We've already had one, obviously, against Forest. It could well have been the first time that a referee has gone to the screen and gone, actually, no, I stick with my guns, which is a shame that the referee didn't do that for the Newcastle and West Ham games. But we'll see. It's part of football now, and we've got to hopefully just wait for the referees to do their job now.
Going to talk a little bit more about Eddie Howe in a bit, Emil, but these draws, that's 4 now. Now, we were used to Eddie Howe making football matches a bit like basketball. We'll score more than you. Obviously, he's trying to progress himself as a manager, and now he's taking a team that he's going to want to take into the top 10 and beyond. What are these draws looking like? Are they tough draws, or are they draws where, you could have easily have won the game 2 or 3-0 on a different day?
I think apart from the Brighton game, I think the Brighton game was one where I would say that we did look the lesser team. Brighton were giving it their all and arguably should have won the game, even though there was a Callum Wilson goal that was in the net. There's discussions and comparisons of the high foot of Haaland last night and showing them side by side, saying like, oh, we should have won that. But I think that the one thing to take away from all of these draws is that we are defensively sound. There was once a time where Newcastle, I couldn't bet a look at who would be starting in the back line. I think now, and I'm sure a lot of other fantasy players will attest to this. It's the first choice is Trippier is going to be one of them, obviously, because he provides both attack and defense. And I think that just looking at how it's been so far, the heroics of Nick Pope in goal, Newcastle are that team that can shut up shop very well. And then you've sometimes got sometimes you've got a striker at the other end of it, and now we've got Alexander Isak. He can finally start getting towards the right side of the goal. And I think, he's had a few chances. I know there's a few people who might question if he can take his chances straight away, but we saw it against Liverpool with his literally his first chance. He took it, and the second goal, should have stood as well, really, unless you're going to go down to the real, the lines of VAR and think, oh, here we go again. I think that I've got no problem with the draws. Draw against Man City, most teams won't even get that this season. The Palace one, unfortunate. Brighton, okay, it was a blip, but it was the start of the season. I can't remember who else we played. I've forgotten now. But there was another team in there somewhere. It was the home game. I think, was it? No,
Wolves.
Was it, man? Wolves. That's the one. Yeah, of course. Wolves is another one where I think that the main thing about this Newcastle team is that it is one that is going to fight. There was long gone are the days where we wouldn't see the team go for it. Sam Maximan getting that last minute winner again, equaliser against Wolves was a goal that we would have given up years ago. Well, sorry, no, last year under Steve Bruce and the year before that, we would have just not had it. That's basically what Howe's done, and I know we'll get onto him, but yeah, the draws for me aren't a problem. Early in the season, get them out of the way. I think Newcastle have already shown that they can go on 2 very good winning or unbeaten runs anyway last season, and there's bound to be one of those this season. We've got the 2 best teams in the league out the way, so yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to seeing us against some of the others.
Now, a team not giving up, Matt, is a current AFC Bournemouth team that's being coached by Gary O'Neill and co. And at 2-0 down, though, you've probably thought Nottingham Forest game was over, but this team together, anything is possible. A little switch in formation, one goal went in, another one went in, and then the winner. And it was 3-2 to Bournemouth against a Nottingham Forest team that's brought 21 players in to make themselves competitive. What a day out for you and other Bournemouth fans that went to the City Ground.
It was an amazing day out, and I'm sure a lot of people that watch this would have seen my reaction on the free for all and how passionate I was, and what I said there, and I didn't come down from that really all weekend, because I just felt we probably got used to the brand of football and the sort of period the club was going through under Parker, but he did his job. He got us back up to the Premier League, and that's what he'll always throw back at anybody that is critical of him. Will say, look, my remit was to get promoted. I did that. But let's be honest, the football was dull. Going to watch it was boring. Even the promotion season, I couldn't get too excited about. And bearing in mind, I've been following the club since I was 5 years old, and I've always had it in my heart, and the passion's always been there. And I've always looked forward to Saturdays, going to watch my club home or away. And, there was times last season and even the start of this season where I'm thinking I'm not even that bothered about going, really. And it's ridiculous when we're, how high up we are in the football pyramid for AFC Bournemouth for me to be thinking that. And against Forest, there was just a spark that was reignited in me because of the circumstances. Parker had gone, the way the match was unfolding, 2-0 down at half-time, and you're thinking, gosh, this is going to be a long, long season. This is not in any way, shape or form enjoyable. There was criticism, myself included, of people like Phil Billing, of the tactics, the formation, what was going on the pitch. And then second half, it was just such a transformation. And like I went on record and said, when our backs are against the wall, when the chips are down, that is when we respond. That's when we're at our best. And that's been the case throughout our history. When we're written off, when there's no hope, that's when we respond, and we create this siege mentality. And I'm repeating it again, but it's so true. And I just felt at Nottingham Forest second half, we found that our Bournemouth was back. AFC Bournemouth was back. My Bournemouth was back in that second half. And the way we went about it, even if we hadn't have won the game, I would have come away as delighted as I was. I mean, obviously the fact we won it gives you an extra buzz and an extra high, and you're on top of the world and all the rest of it. But just the way that we approached that second half, the commitment, the effort, the togetherness. What's our motto? Together, anything is possible. And we showed all of that in abundance. The identity was back. There was a brand of football. There was a plan. There was a formation. Everybody was working for each other. Partnerships were formed. It was cohesive. And Nottingham Forest couldn't live with it. We outworked them. We shocked them to their core, to be honest, second half. The crowd then was shell-shocked. Their home crowd got on their back. And it was just a joy to watch. And it was just a buzz and a feeling of raw, pure emotion and elation that I've not felt for a long, long time.
Emil, as an outsider, when you've seen Bournemouth lose 9-0, manager's gone, obviously insiders, we know that it runs deeper than that Liverpool result. But when you see Bournemouth 2-0 down against Nottingham Forest, do you see them coming back to win 3-2?
Not at all, from where I was at the time when I was looking at it on my phone. But then again, I mean, that is the joy of football. That is the great thing about it. Every narrative was against Bournemouth that day, just losing 9-0, getting rid of the manager. Everyone's saying the same thing, and then something like that just happens. And I think Matt, articulated it perfectly. How that feels. I think that's brilliant for you. And everyone says beat the teams around you when you're down there. And no offense to Forest and Bournemouth, but it will be that dogfight by the end of the season. It might just be that the two teams are the two who are fighting for that final place to stay up, and those wins are absolute gold dust. Now, obviously, it was not an ideal start to the season, but beating Villa, I kept saying, I was like, well, I think Bournemouth might have something to give. You could be that surprise package this year. But then the weird thing is that Fulham did that, and they've stormed on, and Forest got a win as well. So I think getting those points, that's amazing. But to come back, that does show a team with spirit. And another away game at St James's Park again. I'm talking myself out of how confident I was feeling at the start just by meeting the three of you, but it does get to that point where you think, oh God, but then, can lightning strike twice like that? Can that happen for Bournemouth? I guess time will tell for you all. That's the thing. Can you pull out performances like that? Should you be going 2-0 down, and then having to come back? Because by the end of the season, players will be absolutely shattered from doing that. And I can confirm how Newcastle players felt. They played out of their skin. They had like 10 cup finals from late January onwards, just at the start of this year. That was this year, God. And we went on that run. And if you want to stay up, hopefully you won't have to do the way that we did it, but you do have to play out of your skin. And the players by the end of that season, they were absolutely knackered.
Gary O'Neill, John, has bided some time for the board, but this is a bounce. It's a honeymoon period. It's great for us at the moment, but we did get the win. It was massive points. Any points we pick up is going to help us achieve our goal of finishing 17th in this league.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose calling it a bounce is an interesting way of putting it. I think you're not wrong when you look at things. I'd say that, for me, I'd say we are very much overperforming when you look at our result against Villa, our draw against Wolves, our win against Forest. Those were all over performances in my eyes. We haven't hit above 1xG yet this season in 6 games. So at the moment, we're doing what we did at the beginning of the championship season. We were incredibly clinical in that season. At the start, when we hit our start of 15 wins without loss, I'm pretty sure our conversion rate was about 20%, something ridiculously unsustainable, which obviously dried up somewhat. And then we went through our lulls, and Parker's tactics are also partially to blame for that. I do think, though, that O'Neill, certainly in the second half against Forest, was able to find a better way of somewhat moulding the 4-3-3 that we had from last season into the kind of tactics that Parker was starting to train us into in pre-season. We went to sort of a weird kind of diamond 5-4-1 in the second half against Forest, and that sort of is not too far away from the 5-4-1 that Parker was sort of pushing us into in pre-season. We took advantage of just coming out of the traps, and we needed something to spark the actually getting something out of that game, and that was Billings' wonder strike. And from then on, we just we really did just take complete control of that match. That is not going to happen every week, and not by any means. It's very rare that we're going to come against a team that we can go pretty much toe-to-toe with. And Newcastle are missing one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, thankfully, in Bruno. He's probably going to come back, which is bad. But they are still missing Alan Saint-Maximin and Callum Wilson, who are two incredibly important players for them. So we are going to be at a more comparable level to Newcastle, but we're still not player for player wise as good as that side. They've got too many very, very good players in that team. So it's going to be very tough. I'm really looking forward to the game because it's definitely my favorite away day of the season. But getting anything out of this game is going to be a hell of a piece of work for Gary O'Neill to produce. But if he gets it, every time that we produce something, he is putting his case to sort of give us at least till the end of the season. He is making himself more and more of a case, and it's not easy to find a manager that's going to want to come into a team that is very much favourites to go down. So getting someone that's already in might well be the right option, but we'll have to wait and see. It's never the best idea to bring in a coach that's taken you on, that's coming in temporary charge. There's only one real case for Bournemouth that I can think of, sort of in their last sort of decade and a half, that's worked out for. He left within a couple of years, but he came back for about 7. So it can work out in the end.
Right, that leads us nicely, Emil, onto someone that we want to talk about, and that is the special one, Eddie Howe. Now, as Bournemouth fans, we knew the minute he took the job at Newcastle, you were going to be absolutely fine. Now, the rest of the world, the country, I've always had this doubt over Eddie Howe, maybe because he managed little old Bournemouth. I'm sure it didn't take you too long. That there's more to him as a manager. He builds something special, and you buy into it. And once you're in it, you don't want anything else. And I'm hoping that's what you're going to tell me in this early era under Eddie Howe. I'm sure you're loving him, but tell us about Eddie Howe securing your place in the Premier League and what he's trying to build for your club.
I was hoping for a second we were going to talk about Intertoto Cup winner for Newcastle, Scott Parker there, but last trophy winner. Do not besmirch his name. Look, Eddie Howe, what can I say? The transformation that he has brought, and only him for the best part of the last year, is just incredible. Hope is the word that everyone uses. I don't know if anyone read the Athletic article that Alan Shearer did with Eddie Howe. It was just magnificent. There's your manager. There's potential future England manager. Not too soon, I hope, but 100%. definitely going to be in the question, in the conversation, should I say? And we hosted an event with a couple of journalists who cover Northeast Newcastle mainly, and Craig Hope of the Daily Mail said Eddie Howe is going to be the next great British manager. He is going to be that if he's not already. And you look at him, you look at the counterparts, look at Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, all the people that said, oh yeah, this person first. Not Eddie Howe, like you said, because of little old Bournemouth, and for turning down the Celtic job, which has weirdly turned a lot of Scottish people against Eddie Howe if ever his name's mentioned. But I just think it's like any good relationship. You've got the chaos of the Newcastle fans, the madness of the fans. And then you've got that calm and collected presence of Eddie Howe on the touchline. That to me is perfect. But Eddie Howe didn't even have to try too hard, because takeover does help, yes, but he had the fans with him. Anyone who was coming in from that point had a sandbox to play with and just be like, right, well, we trust you. We trust you. I don't think the question mark ever hung over his head, even after the Cambridge loss. It was just always a case of, don't worry, it'll happen. And the patience that I think Newcastle fans showed to him was ultimately repaid. And I love having him there. I love hearing him speak the way he talks about football, his in-depth approach to everything. I'd hate to be at his house on Christmas Day because I'd be bored stiffless. But it must just be incredible to be in that dressing room. I don't know what he does, because the mystery of Eddie Howe is that he's just such an unanimated figure. And he says that he's an emotional person in that article that I read, but I'm yet to see it, apart from when we score a goal, perhaps. But, it's mad. And he can't really do much wrong in Newcastle fans' eyes. It is simple as that. And he also brought us the joy of the lovely tanned Jason Tindall on the sidelines as well, which is causing a lot of good humour. Just Jason Tindall as a whole. I mean, like we talk about Eddie Howe, but we don't talk enough about Jason Tindall and just what he brings to Eddie Howe on the touchline. It's just we on the podcast, we call him Mad Dog Tindall. He causes so much bother, and then you've got Eddie Howe just there like a wise Buddha, just scheming at all times. And yeah, he just gets it right. He gets it right. Everything's in check, and it's incredible. I really admire a manager who can go away, work on himself, decide when the time's right to come back, and then granted, Newcastle was a tasty job, but there was top class managers like Emery turning us down. And then for Howe to be like, well, I'm second choice, but interview so well to be of that caliber. I think that it's going to be transformative for us, for him. I really hope that the pressure doesn't become too much when we do eventually surpass the level that we're at now, if that day comes. I think, it would be incredible to have a manager who could last as long as Alex Ferguson at Newcastle, because that's the type of relationship that the fans want. They don't want these, one in, one out policy of Man City, although Pep's been there a bit long now, but doing a great job. Pep Guardiola. Basically that's what I mean. It's that what we want. And I think Newcastle fans see longevity, and Bournemouth have had that, albeit from a different angle, but I really hope that's the case.
Emil, think about your score prediction, because we're going to grab that from you in just a moment. Matt, how refreshing that we're hearing some positive stuff about Eddie Howe that doesn't involve Bournemouth. I know we all wish he was our manager still, but it's all clear now, and everyone seems to be getting it. And we've interviewed ex-players that have just said that there's not a manager out there. His training regime, everything he offers. It's even great to hear that Jason Tyndall's back in a good place where he's giving positivity as an assistant, because that's his level. I always said that. And Matt, look, Eddie Howe. And I even want him to have an off day on Saturday, but I want him to succeed. And I agree with Emil. He is one of the next England managers for me.
Yeah, he has been for some time for me. Probably, arguably, he's got a little bit of competition there from the likes of Graham Potter. Maybe we'll see how that pans out for him at Chelsea. But yeah, all round. I mean, I've gone on record so many times and said what I've said about Eddie Howe. We all know it. It's not refreshing for me to hear it from another fan of another football club, to be honest, because it was our best kept secret, wasn't it? Really, with Eddie for so long. Because we all know what he brings to a football club, and the fact that he's Bournemouth through and through, and has been from the age of, when he moved to the area as a young kid, whatever he was, 8 or 9 years old, came through the youth ranks. So immediately he's got that connection, rapport with the football club, which the fans want and the fans love. Something which we're not used to not having that. We've always seemed to have had managers that have had some sort of connection to the football club, be it Harry Redknapp, Tony Pulis, Mel Machin, Sean O'Driscoll, Kevin Bond, Eddie Howe, and then when Scott Parker comes along and there's a complete disconnect, we don't know how to handle that, and he obviously didn't know how to handle it either, because he had no connection with the fans whatsoever. Something which Eddie always had, always spoke eloquently and articulately in the media, as Emil's already touched on. Scott Parker, is a lot to be desired, left a lot to be desired in the media. Couldn't even string a sentence together, barely. Used to say that when he should be saying what. And for me, as a manager in the Premier League football club, it's not professional in any way. And it's not a witch hunt, I'm not. We've said what we've said about Parker, but yeah, it's no surprise to me that he's gone on. He's left us, obviously, and he's gone on to a job like Newcastle United. When he took it on, I thought, that is a high pressure job. He's really has he bitten off more than he can chew there, but. It doesn't surprise me the way that he's turned things around there, because he's got such a work ethic, and he leaves no stone unturned in every single aspect of what he does. The man is so professional and so driven. And as Emil said, can you imagine being in his house on Christmas Day? I'd love to speak to his wife and say, what's Eddie like? What is he like? She'd be like, oh, he's an absolute nut. He's got OCD. Don't leave the kids alone. I bet he's an absolute nightmare to live with in many respects, but what a legend, what a man, and what a
Literally sees him an hour a day.
Yeah.
You know what I reckon? I reckon that when the kids have got Santa's naughty and nice list, he does a full breakdown of how they can improve next year.
It's exactly that. That's nailed on, Emil. And yeah, you can just imagine it, can't you, with his wife.
The kids will come back better. The kids will come back better. You watch. They will be determined to do it next year, and they'll get that big present.
I'm just interested to know which list Ryan Fraser's on this year. Anyway, let's go to that score prediction for you, Emil. Score prediction from you for this game. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Before you give the score prediction, any team injury news that you need to tell us about? I know Wilson was touch and go. St. Maximan as well. Anything you might know ahead of this game would be great. And your score prediction.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. We spoke before we came on. Callum Wilson's still a bit of time away. It was a bit of a blessing in disguise, missing the West Ham game, so few players of it were able to come back. But Wilson maybe a little bit longer. San Maximan, it's in the dark. I'm not sure, maybe 75%. Bruno should be back, and boy, have we missed him with that creativity in midfield. But I don't think any Newcastle side with injuries really is one to underestimate, because Liverpool did that, and we nearly played them off the park. And we've also got a great new striker in Alexander Isak, who a lot of Newcastle fans will be very keen to see a debut home goal for. Not a debut, but a first home goal for.
Score prediction?
It's been great speaking to you all, and I hope we can remain friends after this weekend. But I have to be honest, I think, all the signs are pointing towards Newcastle really letting loose. That being said, I don't think it'll be a pushover. So I will go 3-1 Newcastle. Ryan Fraser hat-trick. I'm joking.
Nice.
Definitely not friends now.
That's fine. It happens most weeks, Emil, so it's absolutely fine. 3-1 to Newcastle. And thanks for coming on. Stay where you are for the moment. We're going to go into the second half of the show. We've got more content coming. We've got those match predictions. Remember, we also did a giveaway in August. There was a chance to win an AFC Bournemouth signed football and a gift card. We have some winners. Thank you, Emil. We'll continue with the show. And let's get on our next Bournemouth guest. If you are a monthly member or you've donated during this first Premier League month, this was your chance to win our first prizes of the season. Let's see who wins the signed AFC Bournemouth football. Our second prize is a £10 gift card. Let's see who's going to win this one. Well done to the winners for these giveaways. I'll get in contact with you to get these prizes in your hands. Please do become a monthly member or donate to the channel at buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. More prizes to come in September. Well done to Mark Singleton. You have the AFC Bournemouth signed football. Needs a bit of air in it, Mark, but well done to you. I will definitely contact you very soon to get that ball in your hands. And I'll also contact Steve Hensman because his son, Ben Hensman, won the £10 gift card. He might want to treat himself to some new goalie gloves. But no, all fair and square. And we've got a new giveaway in September. So you need to become a member or support the channel by donating. We've already had a donation today by Jean from America. Thank you very much. And Carl Guy has already joined us on the membership, so he's become a new supporter member, and we'll be giving away an AFC Bournemouth beanie. And let's see if I can find it, guys. I've not been prepared. Here we go. There we go. An AFC Bournemouth beanie and a mug and coaster is up for grabs, courtesy of our sponsors, Aquashine Exteriors. So become a member, donate to the channel, and you'll have a chance to win those prizes. Aaron, you're on mute. Welcome to the preview.
Hi guys, how you all doing?
Hello,
Not
Aaron.
too bad, not too bad.
Right, mate.
We'll go into this more Bournemouth, fill it up with Bournemouth in this preview. But what you've heard so far, especially the Eddie Howe effect, we don't want him to have a good day on Saturday, but it's great to hear so many good things about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've all said it, to be honest, very, very eloquently. No surprise from us. Still love the guy. Willing him to do really well at Newcastle, obviously, apart from this weekend. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna, he's top, and the rest of the footballing world are beginning to realise that now, finally.
Definitely. Any thoughts on those fixtures that recently played? The Newcastle 0-0, the comeback from Bournemouth against Forest.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we the three of us were there at Forest, and it was up there, one of my favourite away days I think ever. Certainly up there, and the turnaround, the spirit. Everything was there, and it was such an important game because I think, at 2-0 down at half time, we were all feeling a bit down in the dumps because couldn't see a way back. And we weren't playing badly, but we didn't really look like scoring a goal. And then to score 3 in the second half the way we did shows a lot of character, a lot of spirit, and 4 points in my last 2 games is just brilliant. And yeah, Newcastle, as has been said, were obviously very unlucky against Crystal Palace, and they're going to be a real handful this weekend.
Now, usually in our previews, we break up the preview, don't we, guys? We have a little bit of fun with a quiz. Now, we've come under criticism for the quiz that we've been doing on the preview. Guess the player. It's been a little bit too easy. Even our own panel have criticised the game. So we're going slightly different here tonight on this match preview. Guess the player is not completely disappearing. It will come back, I promise you. But on this one tonight, we're going to go for the 60-second quiz. And you can get involved in the chat, and you can let us know how many you score as well. Now, first of all, there's only one person. We're going to build a table throughout the season, guys. So I'm going to put one person in the spotlight. So, Matt, I just want a number from 1 to 3.
3.
So the person in the spotlight just joined the stream is
Oh,
Aaron,
no.
who's going to be
Ugh.
taking on
Sorry, mate.
this 60-second quiz. It shouldn't be too
God, dear.
difficult. It's
dead.
football based, it's Premier League based, and we're going to put you on the spot a little bit. Okay, guys. Right, what I need you to do, John and Matt, is to keep score for me. Help me do that. Okay.
You might not have a tough job.
Should we put Aaron in the spotlight? Let's put him fully in the spotlight, shall we? So we're going to put a timer. Well, you're going to hear a timer, and get involved in the chat. Tell us how many you score. Are you ready, Aaron?
Can I pass if I don't know then? Is that how it works?
Pass? Yeah, absolutely. Don't pass
Fine.
too many because I haven't got loads of questions. So are you ready, Aaron?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Let's do it. 60-second quiz. This is the first one of the season.
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
Season, Man City and who?
So I couldn't hear the question.
Two teams are yet to lose in the Premier League this season. Man City and who?
Spurs.
Pass if you need-
Spurs.
Correct. Spurs. Who scored Bournemouth's first Premier League goal this season?
Jefferson Lerma.
How many Premier League goals did Callum Wilson score last season?
16.
Incorrect. 8. Who won the 2016-17 Premier League?
Chelsea.
Correct. Who wears the number 19 shirt for Bournemouth this season?
Junior Stanislas.
Correct. Which team is currently top of the Championship?
Sheffield United.
Correct. What team plays at postcode? Oh,
Start to see finish.
Yeah, the buzzer's gone, but I started the question. What team's stadium postcode is TW80RU?
8. W80RU. Blimey.
5 seconds.
Time and word. No idea. Middlesbrough. No idea.
Brentford. It was Brentford.
God, is it?
There we go. Did the music put you under a little bit of pressure?
No, I just couldn't hear the first question, but other than that, it was fine. I could hear perfectly. Yeah.
You
Right,
did well,
John.
mate.
Matt, I need a verification. I've got 6. Does that sound about right?
Correct. Yeah.
6. So we will start building a leaderboard. Do let us know in the chat if you were joining in and how many you got. Probably didn't have a chance to Google any, so it would be a correct answer. But that's 6 for Aaron. Well done, Aaron.
I'll take
Round of
that.
applause for Aaron.
I took a bit long
was
on that
good.
Spurs. Took long on the Spurs one. Too long. I was thinking it's not Liverpool. It's not who the hell is it? And they're Spurs. Yeah.
I was doing the same. I
Fantastic.
didn't get there. That would have been even longer.
Well, your time will come because we're going to go
Yeah.
around each person throughout the season. Right, time for those pre-match predictions. Before we go into that, John, I haven't seen a proper presser, but I've heard some news going around on social media. It looks like Rothwell's very, very close. Stanislas, I think, is on the grass as well. Fredericks came back against Nottingham Forest. Brooks is in the squad, the Premier League squad. So, yeah, we're looking okay. We're building that team up in this Premier League season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice to know that not too many injuries. I think it was a pleasant surprise to see. As much as I have nothing against Will Dennis whatsoever, but it was a pleasant surprise to see a sort of gamble, as it were, on 2 goalkeepers to ensure that we had Dembele and Lowe and all available outfield players in the squad. And of course, the option is still there. As much as Will Dennis cannot play now for us in the Premier League in the first half of the season, we could still bring in a youth team goalkeeper to sit on the bench. As long as they're under 21, they don't need to be registered. So it's not like we only have 2 goalkeepers for the season. Yeah, that was good. And then I think Frederick's return is a really good sign. I think he very much is going to be, at least I would like to see him used as the main right wing back going forward when he's fit. If we do play in a back 3, I'm not sure whether he's necessarily good enough defensively to be the right back, but certainly very good for us in a back 5. And like I've mentioned in previous things, I'd like to see Rothwell back because I haven't seen anything of him yet. So I would be interested to see what he can add to the squad, and if he's not too far away, along with Brooks. Yeah, as long as hopefully we don't pick up too many more injuries, but we're mostly fit squad, which is good to see.
Let's take a look at that predicted 11 then. Match predictions. Okay, slightly different this time round. What I've done on the screen, guys, is I've put the lineup that came out at half-time against Nottingham Forest. I hope I've got it right. I did double check it, but it's Neto in goal, Smith, Mepham and Kelly as a back three, Fredericks, Tavernier as wing backs, Cook, Lerma, Anthony, Billing and Solanke. I've got that right, haven't I?
It was Christie instead of Anthony. Anthony didn't come until very late.
I didn't
Correct.
actually. So there you go. Didn't actually check myself. I mean, as you know, I wasn't at this game because I was away with the wife on a birthday weekend. So, Christy, apologies. So, thanks for verifying that for me. Matt, interesting. And it's a back three. Here we go again. But it worked. What would you do to this team going into Newcastle on Saturday?
Difficult one. Probably not too much. I mean, the thing about football is it's all about momentum. And I just think that after that Forest game, I know we've had a bit of a break with obviously having last week called off. But having said that, I think we need to pose a threat. I mean, Newcastle will go... The only problem I've got with it is that Newcastle will probably go 4-3-3 or something like that. So that could pose us a problem. So do we match them up? We're away from home. That back three could very quickly turn into a back five is the issue. So you put me on the spot, Kirk. Do we stick with the format? It's more the formation than the personnel in many ways. But the worry that I've got is that if we're going to pose any sort of threat, we're going to have to get people close or players close to Dom Solanke, which is the age-old problem. And we managed to do that in the second half against Nottingham Forest, which obviously that is what we reaped the benefits of that. That's what gave us a platform by making those changes second half. So it's a really difficult one, and this is why I'm not Premier League football manager, because it's difficult to know what to do. I would probably, in my head, I would probably go. To be honest, I would probably start by matching them up and going 4-3-3 stroke 4-5-1. To be honest.
Okay, Aaron, slightly predicted 11 here. We're trying to bounce off the back of that good second half. What do you think Gary O'Neill will do on Saturday? Will he go with that similar lineup that had a good reaction? But it's so easy to then get caught out in this formation, and then you're back into a back four again.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, isn't it? Like, we play a back four and it doesn't go well. Then you go to this formation and it worked brilliantly against Nottingham Forest. When you start with it, the next game it doesn't work well, and you flip and flop. We need to try and get a bit of consistency and constancy, and players learning their shapes, and just it's good to be flexible, but try to get a bit of consistency. I do think Eddie definitely plays a 4-3-3. So one thing, even if we do keep three at the back, I would want to see a three in midfield, and maybe it's more like a 5 sort of 3-2 or whatever, 5-3-1-1, whatever it might be. So at least you have those three in midfield, so you can always drop whether it's Christie or not, but that Christie position along, just helping Cook and Lerma out, and then moving Phil Bill sort of roaming behind Dom. The other thing is, although he was pulled off at half time, Zamora didn't do anything particularly wrong against Nottingham Forest. So one thing he might do is replace Tavernier left wing back with Zamora and push Tavernier into Christie's position, for example, because obviously I want Tavernier on the pitch for sure. Lots of options. Anthony was so bright when he came on. Christie works his backside off. It's very difficult. One thing I do worry about is pace. So for them, there's conflicting rumours about whether St Maximin's starting or not. Let's assume he does start, or if it's not him, it's going to be Almiron, or it's going to be that little Scottish bloke who plays them as well. They've all got pace, and Fredericks has pace. Smithy doesn't. So it'd be hard not to start with Ryan Fredericks, but I think, as Matt said, playing him on the right back, I just don't know. I actually think, rightly or wrongly, I think we might set up with a 3, but it's very important to get players forward and not lose that midfield battle. So, and to be honest with you, whether Senesi comes in or whether Smith keeps his position if we do play a 3, as that right centre back, which he reads the game so well, and maybe at his age that might be where he wants to play, although he's obviously a little bit on the small side for that. So as Matt said, I generally have no idea, but I personally, although I'm not a big fan of it because it works so well and the shape looked good, play similar formations to start the game.
I have made that slight adjustment, John, where I pushed Tavernier higher up, replaced Christie, and Zamora dropping back in. Are you expecting this lineup to start off the back of that result against Nottingham Forest?
It's an interesting one because O'Neill started in a 4-4-2 essentially the previous two games, and I think it was the worst thing to happen to Billing this season, of his complete ineffectualness pretty much for the Wolves game. I don't really remember him doing too much, and also certainly, particularly the guy that was stood next to me in the first half of the Forest game, Billing couldn't seem to do a thing right in the first half. Against Forest, I think Billing. The thing is that I was most surprised about him as well is that you only got to look at the Aston Villa game. He produced five tackles and 5 interceptions. That's like that outdid pretty much every player in the league that game week. There weren't too many that are producing those kinds of defensive numbers, and he was in there in a midfield too, along with Pearson. And we all said he can't do that, and suddenly he's pulling out those numbers. I think he needs to stop being played as a second striker. We know that Billing is really important as a force to provide to help to Solanke, but we are not getting the best out of him by just giving him a free role. It's clearly not what he needs. He needs a little bit more discipline and needs to work in that left channel because that's where we get the best out of him. I personally would be a little bit worried about the wings if we played the 3-4-3 or played this kind of formation because you only got to look at Trippier getting down the right. Almiron does a hell of a lot of work on that side. And Sam Maximan is obviously, if he plays, and given that Eddie has a history of saying a player is only about 75% and then him starting 4 games in a row, we don't necessarily guarantee that Alan Sam Maximan is out either. I could see us going back to a 4-3-3 purely because it's going to be important to try and match them up in midfield. The only other way we could do it is I would be happy with this, but it has to be a kind of 5-4-1, very similar to what you've got there. But I'd probably have Billing alongside Lerma. I love Cook, but just for the defensive work rate, I'd probably have. And that Billing would be encouraged to get up and down the pitch. But you could play any of those 3 in the 2, and then you'd have Christie and Tavernier as the wingers, although Anthony is worth a shout. I'd be very happy to see us go back to a 4-3-3 with Anthony, Zamora, Billing partnership on the left back and Tav playing on right, because Tavernier and Anthony do a lot of work along the wings. It's nice to see how flexible we are at the moment. I think as much as I'm frustrated with the way that Parker was setting us out, I do think that because we put a lot of work in pre-season into a 5-4-1, that is going to help us a lot during the course of the season. We just need to be able to take advantage of moments in the game where we do dominate to try and make something happen. It could be either, but O'Neill so far has shown a tendency to want to play a back 4. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2. But like I said, I think we don't get anything out of Billing in a 4-4-2. So I would prefer to see us go back to that 4-3-3 of last year.
Not completely a predicted 11 for Gary O'Neill then, but options. And like John says, it's unpredictable. If we're struggling to predict it, that's only a good thing. And hopefully Eddie Howe then is not quite sure whether we'll set up with a 4 or a back 3. But look, if you're watching this back and not live, do let us know in the comments your thoughts on your starting 11. But it could be like this, and like John says, it could be a back 4. So we'll leave that on the screen for now. That's our sort of predicted 11, but at the moment it's a good thing that we're unpredictable. We don't know who's going to start, where they're going to start, and let's see what happens on Saturday. Now, there are other games going on in the Premier League at the weekend. Not a complete fixture list because obviously there's the Queen's funeral on Monday, but there are other games going on. Aston Villa against Southampton. I think this is up to date on the Premier League website. Nottingham Forest taking on Fulham. Wolves against Man City. Newcastle, Bournemouth. Tottenham, Leicester. Brentford against Arsenal. Everton against West Ham. And then there's postponements. Brighton, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester United, Leeds. I see some score predictions in the chat already. We'll give you an opportunity now, 1 minute for anyone else to put their score predictions in there. So get your score predictions in there. And as those score predictions are going in, guys, and you're going to think about yours, it's going to be a weird game for us on Saturday. Look, there's the great man on the sidelines, not in red and black. It's in white and black. I mean, potentially, Matt, there's going to be 50,000 fans all singing one man's name. And that's a unique situation.
Yeah, totally unique. And quite bizarre, but that will happen. I think it would have happened even if Parker was still in charge. I think we'd have all been still singing Eddie Howe's name, wouldn't we, at Newcastle on Saturday? Can't think of too many occasions where that's probably happened before. But at the end of the day, Eddie would say, as much as there might be, there's no sentiment, is there? He's the ultimate professional, and at the end of the day, he is now Newcastle manager, and his job and his remit is to win football matches for Newcastle United. So that all goes to one side for the 95 minutes that we're on the pitch, and before and after. You shake hands and you have a chat, and you maybe show a bit of emotion and reflection and maybe a bit of connection. Eddie, I'm sure he'll come over to the fans and clap us and whatever else. But for those 95 minutes, we've got to get behind our own team. Let's not worry about what Eddie Howe's doing or what Newcastle are doing. It's about what we do on the day. So our fans have got to really get behind our team. I think we're only taking 1,100 up there, which is, it's still a decent turnout all the way up to Newcastle. But we're going to be vastly outnumbered, so we've got to try and make an atmosphere. And I think going back to briefly on the formations, I think I said against City, I worry about a back three or a back five. We're down the flanks with a 4-3-3, and we get destroyed a little bit. And I think that's the case. So however we set up, though, we just need to replicate the attitude really from the second half at Nottingham Forest, the commitment, the effort, the togetherness. And see where that takes us.
Aaron, he doesn't high five Jason Tindall if they scored, does he?
Well, I mean, luckily Eddie Howe's not the sort of manager who runs down the touchline. No. Anyway, I think he's quite understated anyway. It's like a little 3-second high five, and then he's kind of straight away thinking about them. So I'm sure he won't. He'll just do that. But as Matt said, he's Newcastle United manager now. He's the ultimate professional. If they score a last-minute winner against us, he's got every right to celebrate as much as he wants, and wouldn't begrudge him it. But I mean, I've got vision. I think we're all going to be a bit disappointed because of his character that he is. I'm really excited for him to come over at the end and spend 10 minutes lauding our praise. It's not going to happen. Dean Court, he might go around all four sides in the return fixture, but unfortunately for us, up in the gods, he'll give us a wave, he'll give us a clap without a shadow of a doubt. And then he'll probably trundle off, and it's going to be disappointing because in some respects we're going to want to, because we never sent him off in the Premier League. That was the killer. That was the ultimate thing. He never had a goodbye with the fans, and I'm sure the Dean Court game will be exceptionally special without a doubt. But I'm hoping he spends a bit more than 10 seconds up there, and gives us at least a minute or so of us being able to sing his name, because I think during the game we'll be drowned out by 50,000 Geordies for sure.
Score predictions. Here we go then, guys, for Newcastle versus AFC Bournemouth. I'm going straight in now. I know on a couple of the last previews, I think I've maybe gone for a Bournemouth loss. I need to come back, right? We got a 3-2 against Forest, right? I've got a good feeling about this. I don't think we'll win. Newcastle have had 4 draws. I see Lerma crunching Fraser inside 5 minutes, and then he doesn't want any more, so he'll ask to be substituted. I'm going for a Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1. I'm going for a draw. We celebrate. We get to praise Eddie Howe. It's a great day out for the fans that are going. It's great for the fans who will be able to watch and catch it. And that's my score prediction. Chris Hubble is going for a lovely Solanke Cook Lerma 3-2 win. Gene, thank you so much for your donation today. buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Really appreciate it. Cherries 1, Newcastle 0. Dan Chase has gone for a 2-1, and Martin's matched that with a 2-1 as well. We'll continue the score predictions. John, what's your score prediction?
Difficult one. Just going to say a few words because you've managed to avoid me in any question that you've really posed about Eddie Howe in this whole thing. So just for my 2 cents, you mentioned it earlier. There was no surprise from Bournemouth fans that Eddie Howe was going to do well at Newcastle. The important thing was always he needed something to kickstart it, just like any club. And that 1-0 away at Leeds was that was it. As soon as he got that win, with a little bit against the run of play, he just took off. And the funny thing is that yes, he's improved. He's definitely managed to work on that defence. He hasn't changed that much. He really hasn't. His ability to improve players has not changed. He's always been, as far as I'm concerned, a world-class coach. You can say all you like about Pep and Klopp, but they haven't done it at Eddie Howe's level. Eddie Howe has taken a League One team and got them to survive in the Premier League. You can't just, not anyone can do that. I don't think anyone has done that apart from Eddie Howe. While I think as a manager, I did have a lot of issues at times, particularly in that last season with Eddie Howe as a coach. I've never ever questioned him, and even his management, he's definitely improved against Newcastle. So it's going to be very difficult to, even if we're up in the gods, to really sort of see Eddie Howe on that sideline, encouraging the wrong team, as it were. But if anything, I think it's actually kind of good that Parker has gone, because I think his ego would have taken such a hit with Bournemouth fans singing the opposition manager's name. He may well have imploded. So yeah, it's going to be odd. But Aaron is absolutely right. It's the home game that we're finally going to be able to give him a proper send off. So I'm looking forward to when he's able to do that. As for the match, it's difficult to be overly positive considering how good Newcastle are, but we have been pretty decent ourselves. And I think, particularly if they're missing Alan Saint-Maximin, I think that's a big one. If they're missing him for most of the game, I think we can do a decent job at hopefully closing them down a bit. We're going to struggle to get past a very good defence. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'll try and be positive. I'll match Kirk's 1-1, and I'll be positive, and I will match Kirk's 1-1.
After all that praise for Eddie Howe, I was thinking, I hope he doesn't go Bournemouth 5, Newcastle 0. After all that praise about his coaching. Fantastic. Apologies for that, John. That was
right.
Intentional. So where was I? Right. So we've got another 1-1. Sam's coming in with a more 2-2. Dan is going for a 2-1. Carol's in for a score draw 2-2. Cameron is 1-1. Draws galore 2-2 for the football ball winner. That's the AFC Bournemouth signed football. Mark Singleton 2-2. Got Paul also 2-2. Sam's in with a 2-2 as well. Matt, are you going 2-2? What's your score prediction?
No, I was gonna, before you both said 1-1, I was gonna say my heart says 1-1, because I just feel that that's probably the best that we can hope. I know that sounds a little bit negative, but I just think with the quality Newcastle have got and blah blah, we say it most weeks, don't we? But let's be realistic. It's going to be a really, really tough assignment for us. So I was going to go with my heart instead of my head, really, and say that we can go up there and we can frustrate them. I think I said the same against City away, to be honest, and get a 1-1 draw. And I'm more confident probably that we can do that this weekend than I was against Man City, maybe after what's happened in the second half against Forest and against Wolves, of course, where we did keep that clean sheet and we did look organised. And again, we looked resolute and disciplined for the vast majority of that match. So I'm hoping that we can frustrate them. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but I'm hoping that, as John says, it'll be a low-scoring game and we can nick something on the break from a set piece or whatever it might be and come away with what will be a very, very decent and hard-earned 1-1 draw and a good point.
3 draws then, Aaron. Just you to go. You're going to bring the Bournemouth win in with your score prediction. Here we go.
No, I'm not. Sorry to disappoint, but I think a draw will be a brilliant result up at Newcastle. Yeah. I think it will be. It's not the best we can hope for, clearly, but everything would have to go right for us. I think that we say every game, the first 10-15 minutes is crucial. We cannot, if we go down early, they're going to be, they've got such a noisy crowd, they'll be set up for it, and we could be really under the cosh. So if we can see out that first sort of awkward 10-15 minutes, just defend, get the shape right, and nothing silly, then stay in the game, and anything's possible because then we're growing confidence. So I think it will be I don't think it'll be a low-scoring game. I think we know Eddie's teams, and we know we're always likely to concede, but we can score as we showed at Forest. So I'm going to go for a 2-2. 2-2
goals though. Let's go up north. Let's get a goal. Let's see how we get on. Please do subscribe to Cherries Red Army. Content over the weekend will bring you a match reaction straight from St James's Park. We'll also hopefully get a match day vlog to you. Bear in mind, it will come out a Sunday at some point because, yeah, I've got to travel back from Newcastle and have some sleep, and then I'll try and upload something for you. Hit the like button on this video. Thank you to Emil from the True Faith podcast. Check them out below. I'm sure they're covering a preview for this game. And we appreciate you back watching us live. And as I said, this weekend, it's going to be emotional for lots of reasons. Jon, thank you very much. We'll see you in Newcastle.
Absolutely, I'll be there. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting up with all of you. And if anyone is coming up on the Friday night and is going to be out in the town, do let us know, because I'm sure we'll be certainly myself, Kirk, and Aaron will be up there and looking for a good drink somewhere and chat about Bournemouth. So do let us know if you are.
Jon is looking to party, Matt. Thanks for coming on this preview. We'll catch you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Just gutted now that I'm not able to go this weekend, because it is, it's always a good away day and a great weekend. I've done it a couple of times, but yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up, lads, on another away day at some point. It's great to see Jon and Aaron at Nottingham Forest, which is obviously a great day. Missed you being there, Kirk, but always a pleasure to come on. Thanks for having me on, Kirk. Great to speak to you guys and talk football, talk AFC Bournemouth, and let's hope we can get something. And you have another great away day, you boys, on Saturday.
Although I couldn't make Nottingham Forest, it was weirdly amazing that I lost signal at 2-0 down and regained it 3-2 up. It was weird that happened. Aaron, I'll see you in Newcastle. We'll hopefully have a good away day. I'm sure we'll compete on Saturday.
Yeah, early morning swim in the Tyne on Saturday morning, boys. I expect to see you out there. Yeah, safe journeys up, obviously, for everyone who's watching, who's going. It's obviously a very long way, so travel safely. And look forward to it, and see some of you up there.
Definitely travel safely if you go into the game. If you're not, catch up with the Cherries wherever you can. You might even be able to watch it somewhere in the world. And let's hope that Gary O'Neill can get us a point at least at Newcastle. But it's going to be an interesting game, and we're going to see a few old friends of ours. Just a few, maybe not all. But thank you to Jon, thank you to Matt, thank you to Aaron. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Let's hope the Cherries can get a result on Saturday. Until the next one, we'll see you soon. Up Cherries.
Up the Cherries.
Up Cherries.